I'm Jim Manwaring. We have 1,100 acres. 700 is open. Farm's been in the family since 4850. When I took the farm over from my father, he had several fields that he made hay in, and he made hay 2 or 3 times a year on those fields. And he was always short on hay. He had to go all over the county making hay to feed his cattle. And the cattle were in fields that usually 35 acres, 50 acres. He'd have 25 or 30 cattle in each field. And after the spring flush was over, he'd have to go over and trim pasture. So basically every acre of the farm, about 700 acres, got trimmed every year to make it palatable for the cattle. When I took over the farm in 1985, I worked full time and I had to figure out a way to do things differently. We went to rotational grazing at that point. I run 280 head of brood cows. I have 3 different herds, one at each farm. The big herd, I rotate through 4 fields in the spring. And by the time they get back into the first field, it's grown back enough for them to graze. And the other one, I rotate through 3 fields. And again, it holds them in the spring just fine. Here, this is their 3rd time. It's always a balancing act when to start the rotating in the spring, because if you start too early, you go through each field so fast that you don't have any growth. The 1st and 2nd time, all the fields had more growth than they could eat, and so they didn't get it nubbed down at all. When I make hay on 400 acres. All my hay fields are fenced. So after I make 1 cutting, I rotate my cattle through them. And that holds them pretty well. I rotate them through the fields pretty quickly during the summer to keep them from grazing the fescue tight. And that's usually the last thing they want to eat anyway. So they go after the orchard grass and the clover. They'll eat just about anything that comes up other than fescue. In fall, after the first frost, of course, you know, the sugar content, protein content goes up on the fescue. And at that point, I turn them into those fields and I graze them down thoroughly. The cattle seem to know what's happening because in the summer, they eat for several days and they said, okay, we're ready to go. In the fall, they just hunker down until it's all gone and they seem to be pretty happy with that. I've got fields on the farm that we've been rotating through, and we have not trimmed those fields since 1985, and they look better than they ever looked. But there's a little caveat to that. I don't trim, but what I do is a bit labor intensive, but at that time of year it's kind of quiet for me anyway. I take a GPS, I put a 55-gallon drum of crossbow on the back of my tractor, and I go around the fields and I spot spray the little odds and ends of woody vegetation that come up. Things like autumn olive, multiflora rose, I go after cockleburs, I go after stickweed, I go after all those kind of things that just pop up onesies and twosies, and it keeps them from dominating the field. That's pretty much what I do.